He was born a slave, beaten, broken, crippled for life. He had no freedom, no rights, no control over a single moment of his existence. And yet, this man became the teacher of emperors, the philosopher that Marcus Aurelius himself learned from, the mind that would shape Western philosophy for the next 2,000 years. His name was Epictetus, and what he discovered in chains, in suffering, in complete powerlessness, was the secret to true freedom, not the freedom of the body. Something far greater, the freedom of the mind. And in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what he taught. Because this is not just ancient history. This is about you, right now. Today. Because the chains that held Epictetus are the same chains holding you. Not physical chains, mental ones. And Epictetus, 2,000 years ago, figured out exactly how to break them. Greece. Around 50 AD, Epictetus was born into slavery. Think about that for a moment. From the day you were born, you are property. You have no name of your own, no family, no future. You exist only to serve. And for Epictetus, it was even worse. His master was cruel, violent. One day, in a fit of rage, his master twisted Epictetus's leg so badly that it was permanently damaged. For the rest of his life, Epictetus walked with a limp. A constant reminder of his powerlessness. Most people in that situation would break. They would give up. They would spend every moment of their existence drowning in bitterness, in anger, in why me? But Epictetus did something completely different. He looked at his chains. He looked at his broken leg. He looked at the master who controlled every aspect of his life. And he asked himself one simple question. A question that would change everything. What do I actually control? Now let me pause here. Because this question, this single question, is the most powerful thing you will ever ask yourself. Not what do I want to control? Not what should I be able to control? But what do I actually control? Epictetus realized something that most people never figure out in their entire lives. He realized that there are only two categories in this world: things you control and things you do not control. And almost everything falls into the second category. You do not control other people. You do not control the past. You do not control the future. You do not control your circumstances. You do not control whether you get sick, whether you lose someone you love, whether life treats you fairly. You do not even control your own body. Epictetus knew this better than anyone. His leg was proof. But here is what Epictetus discovered. There is one thing, and only one thing, that you have complete control over. Your mind, your thoughts, your judgments, your responses. And that is everything. Let me give you a real example from Epictetus's life. One day, while he was still a slave, his master was twisting his leg. The pain was unbearable. And Epictetus looked up at his master and said calmly, "If you keep doing this, you are going to break my leg." The master ignored him, kept twisting, and the leg snapped. Epictetus looked at his master. No anger, no screaming, no fear. He simply said, "I told you it would break." Think about that. His leg, the leg he would need to walk for the rest of his life, just broke. And his response was, "I told you." Not because he did not care, but because he understood something profound. He could not control what his master did. He could not control whether his leg broke. But he could control his reaction to it. He could control whether he let this moment destroy his inner peace. And he chose peace. This is what Epictetus would later teach to thousands of students. This is what he called the Dichotomy of Control. Years passed. Somehow, through a twist of fate, Epictetus was freed. He was no longer a slave, but his leg was still broken. He was still poor. He still had nothing. And yet, he started teaching. In a small school, in a tiny room. And people came. Not just anyone. The most powerful people in Rome. Senators, generals, future emperors. They traveled from across the empire to sit in a room with a crippled former slave and learn how to live. Because Epictetus had something they did not. He had freedom. Not freedom from chains. Freedom from suffering. Freedom from anxiety. Freedom from the opinions of others. And they were desperate to learn his secret. Let me share with you the most powerful lesson Epictetus ever taught. It is something he told his students over and over again. He said, "People are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them." Read that again. People are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. What does that mean? It means that the event itself does not hurt you. Your judgment of the event is what hurts you. Let me show you how this works in your life. You lose your job. Does that hurt you? No. What hurts you is your thought about it. The thought that says, "I am a failure." The thought that says, "I will never find another job." The thought that says, "Everyone will judge me." Those thoughts are what destroy you, not the job loss itself. Someone insults you. Does that hurt you? No. What hurts you is your belief that their opinion matters. Your belief that you need their approval. Your belief that their words define your worth. Those beliefs are what hurt you, not their words. Epictetus taught that almost all of our suffering comes from our judgments, not from reality, from our thoughts about reality. And here is the incredible part. You control your thoughts, which means you control your suffering. Now, I know what you are thinking. That sounds great. But how do I actually do this? How do I stop my thoughts from controlling me? This is where Epictetus gives us the most practical tool in all of philosophy. He taught his students a simple exercise. An exercise you can use right now. It is called the pause. Here is how it works. Something happens. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Your boss criticizes you. You do not get the result you wanted. Before you react, pause, just for 1 second, and ask yourself, is this in my control? If the answer is no, let it go. Immediately. Do not waste 1 single second of mental energy on it. If the answer is yes, ask yourself, what is the best way I can respond? Not the angriest way, not the most emotional way, the best way. Then do that, and move on. This is what Epictetus called responding instead of reacting. Animals react. Humans respond. And the space between the event and your response is where your freedom lives. Let me tell you what happened to Epictetus at the end of his life. By this time, he was the most famous philosopher in the Roman Empire. His students included some of the most powerful people in the world. But Epictetus himself owned almost nothing. He lived in a small house. He had no wealth, no status, no physical comforts. And one night, robbers broke into his house. They stole the few belongings he had. His students were outraged. How could this happen to you, the great Epictetus? And Epictetus smiled. He said, "They took my lamp. But they could not take my ability to live without a lamp. They took my possessions, but they could not take my peace of mind. They took things, but they could not take me." Because Epictetus understood that the only thing worth protecting is your inner freedom. Everything else can be taken. Your money, your health, your reputation, your loved ones. Life will take these things, not because it is cruel, but because that is the nature of life. But your mind, your character, your peace. No one can take that, unless you give it away. Epictetus died around 135 AD. He lived to be over 80 years old, a former slave with a broken leg who became the teacher of emperors. But his legacy is not his fame. His legacy is the freedom he gave to millions of people, including you, right now. Because everything Epictetus taught works today. You are not a slave, but you are trapped. Trapped by anxiety about the future. Trapped by regret about the past. Trapped by the opinions of people who do not matter. Trapped by circumstances you cannot control. And Epictetus, from 2,000 years ago, is telling you, you have the key. You have always had the key. It is your mind. Your ability to choose your response. Your ability to choose what you give your mental energy to. Your ability to choose peace, no matter what is happening around you. Let me leave you with the most powerful words Epictetus ever spoke. Words that have changed millions of lives. Words that could change yours. Epictetus said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. You cannot choose what happens to you, but you can always choose what happens inside you. You cannot control whether people like you, but you can control whether you need their approval. You cannot control whether you fail, but you can control whether failure destroys you. You cannot control life, but you can control your mind. And when you control your mind, you are free, completely free, even if you are in chains, even if life has broken you, even if everything is falling apart." Epictetus proved it. A slave with a crippled leg who became the freest man in Rome, not because his circumstances changed, but because his mind did. So here's my question to you. What chains are holding you? Not physical chains, mental ones. What are you trying to control that you cannot control? What suffering are you creating through your own judgments? What freedom are you giving away to things that do not deserve it? Epictetus spent his entire life teaching one lesson. Focus on what you can control. Let go of everything else. And if you do that, if you truly do that, you will be free. More free than any king. More free than any billionaire. More free than anyone who has ever lived. Because true freedom is not about your circumstances. True freedom is about your mind. And your mind is the one thing that no one can ever take from you. If this changed how you see your life, subscribe to Eternal Echoes. Because every week, I bring you the ancient wisdom that transforms modern lives. And comment below. Tell me honestly, what is one thing you are trying to control that you need to let go of? Epictetus is watching. And so is your freedom.